Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Spider-Man Far From Home. Since I went opening week in IMAX, I went ahead and got my little Spider-Man figurine, who is awesome. He'll join my little mystery mini Spider-Man, as well as the little Mysterio Funko that I picked up because it was just so cool. So, Spider Man Far From Home is the sequel to Spider Man Homecoming, but more directly, is a direct sequel to Avengers Endgame, in which we are dealing with the repercussions and fallouts from the epic saga. And while all of that's happening, Peter Parker goes on a school trip to Europe in which duty seems to bug him an awful lot. Now, I was pretty pumped for Spider Man Far From Home. I love Tom Holland, well, period. But I've really enjoyed him as Peter Parker slash Spider Man so far in the MCU. And I had fun with Homecoming. I didn't love it like I know a lot of others did, but I definitely had fun. I've enjoyed Peter and Civil War, Infinity War, all of the like. And the trailers looked awesome. Getting Jake Gyllenhaal into a superhero film, sign me up. So, how was the actual film? Well, I would say it's solid. For me, not great, but still solidly good. So let's go ahead and talk about those positives first. Well, I mentioned him already. Tom Holland is great in this movie. I thought he was able to really show off his chops, really sink his teeth into this role, and deliver as Peter Parker on a level we haven't seen him deliver thus far, and hasn't really gotten the chance to showcase thus far. But he's great in this movie all the way through. Zendaya is also wonderful, and honestly, I know a lot of people be hating, but I really like this rendition of MJ. I think she's funny. I think she's relatable and cool, and I'm all about this MJ life. And Jake Gyllenhaal. Oh, how great is Jake Gyllenhaal in this movie? It's so nice to see Jake back in a big film, a big blockbuster, and getting the opportunity to have some fun in a movie. And you can see he really starts to have some fun in this one. Plus, Mysterio as a character is awesome. Everything, and maybe even just a bit more than I was hoping for going into this film. And I had high hopes for Mysterio, and they just blew it all out of the water. There's one sequence in particular in this film involving Mysterio that is amazing and was by far my favorite segment of the entire movie. But honestly, Mysterio makes this film for me. Samuel L. Jackson is back and awesome as always. It's so great to get him back in the MCU in a bigger role and at his sassy best here. I loved it. I loved Nick Fury throughout the entire film. And of course, Samuel L. Jackson just eats, breathes, and is this character. I also love the action. I thought the action set pieces were really fun. They were new, they felt fresh within the MCU, different types of monster things that we're dealing with, a different type of enemy and foe than we're used to seeing in Marvel, and just different visuals. They really got to play with different effects, and it was a lot of fun to watch and felt very fresh within the MCU. I also really love the kind of deeper stuff we delve into, in particular, Peter Parker's struggle of wanting to be a kid, a high schooler, and also wanting to be a hero, the hero that he has longed to be, that he begged to be for so long, and how that has its consequences and responsibilities and what that means for him. In turn, we delve deeper into what does it mean to be a hero? And I think they handle all of that very, very well. Plus, I think Giacchino's score is fantastic in this movie. I really think the score elevates a lot of this material. And it's really nice to finally get two of them post-credit scenes that mean something, that are actual, like, post-credit scenes. You don't get a throwaway with Spider-Man Far From Home, which is fantastic. And those post-credit scenes really open up doors to just what? Like mind-blowing possibilities. They're like great cliffhangers that instantly make you like beg for the next Marvel film already. So big kudos there. Then what doesn't work so well when it comes to Spider-Man Far From Home? Well, it's really like easy breezy for a good portion of this film. I would say Spider-Man Far From Home is kind of this really, really earnest, wholesome teenage comedy, honestly, that has the big spectacle thrown into it. And honestly, that was a big problem for me with Homecoming, as I felt that they really struggled to get the balance between a smaller story, a more contained film that could stand on its own, but one that also needed to expand into the MCU. And here, they have a lot of the same problems of this smaller story, really having this like teenage comedy, but also a big superhero flick that has even bigger and grander action set pieces than the first film did. But in Homecoming, I actually preferred the smaller stuff. This time around, I preferred when we went big. I don't know, the teenage comedy bit just, it didn't quite land for me. And honestly, the entire first act of this film, I was kind of like, oh, what? When is Jake Gyllenhaal getting here? Because honestly, I felt the pacing was way off in that first act. The edit was actually really strange to me. We just like edited into random little like hokey segue here until we moved on with the story. There are a lot of romantic subplots in this film, and almost all of them I felt is unnecessary. Peter Parker's through line is the only one that I would keep. All of these other romantic subplots I would have much preferred to just throw out the window. The effects, mostly really good, mostly really inventive, but mostly in that first act again. Some of these effects get real green screeny and wonky. Plus the music choices, I mean, it was very jokey. It was very lighthearted, very jokey. They undercut quite a bit with the jokes. And most of the time, I don't really have a problem with that in Marvel films, but it was real heavy when it came to Spider-Man Far From Home, and it worked to varying degrees here. So overall, it was just a little bit light in tone for me. It really leaned heavy into being like a good old wholesome teenage comedy when I was really craving more of the big spectacle, because that's when it was most successful in my eyes. But thankfully, we just kind of stumble out of the gate with a weak first act, and the second and third acts amp everything up and make it a really fun time. Plus, those post-credit scenes just elevate everything about it. So, if you are a Marvel fan, if you're an MCU fan, this is obviously a full price ticket. And if you're just looking for a way to escape the heat and want a fun blockbuster for the summer season, we haven't had a whole lot of them. Spider-Man Far From Home is a full price ticket. So, that is my review of Spider-Man Far From Home. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Spider-Man Far From Home, or have you already seen it? If you have, let me know your thoughts either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!